weird and wild, strange tales from world history. Hello, history lovers and curiosity seekers. Welcome to another episode of Weird and Wild, where we dive into the strangest corners of world history. I'm your host, and today we are taking a whirlwind tour of some absolutely bizarre historical events from 4 fascinating places around the globe: Italy, Cape Verde, India, and Chile. These aren't the stories you learned in school, folks. We're talking about wars fought over buckets, islands inhabited by escaped prisoners, deadly dancing plagues, and earthquakes that changed the course of history in the weirdest ways possible. So buckle up, because truth really is stranger than fiction. Let's kick things off in Italy, a country whose history is as rich in oddities as it is in pasta varieties. The Bucket War in 1325, something utterly ridiculous happened between the Italian city-states of Bologna and Modena. What started it all? A wooden bucket. Yes, you heard that right. A humble wooden bucket sparked a full-scale war. The soldiers of Modena snuck into Bologna and stole their prized oak bucket from a public well. This wasn't just any bucket, it was a symbol of civic pride. So naturally, Bologna declared war over it. The conflict culminated in the Battle of Zappolino, where 2,000 Bolognese soldiers were killed. And the kicker? Modena kept the bucket. You can still see it today in Modena's city tower. Talk about an expensive souvenir. The dancing plague of 1518. Now let's head to what was then the Holy Roman Empire, part of which is modern-day Italy. In July 1518, a woman named Frau Trafia stepped into a street in Strasbourg and began dancing. She didn't stop for days. Within a week, 34 people joined her. Within a month, 400 people were dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Many danced until they collapsed from exhaustion. Some even danced themselves to death. Physicians of the time thought the cure was more dancing. The city opened guild halls and constructed a wooden stage, even hiring musicians to keep the rhythm going. Modern theories suggest it may have been caused by food poisoning from ergot fungi, which can cause hallucinations, or a mass psychogenic illness, essentially a stress-induced collective mania. Either way, it's one of history's most bizarre epidemics. The Pope's corpse trial in 897 CE. Pope Stephen VI had a serious beef with his predecessor, Pope Formosus. The only problem? Formosus was already dead, but that didn't stop Stephen. In what became known as the Cadaver Synod, Pope Stephen VI had Formosus' 9-month-old corpse exhumed, dressed in papal vestments, propped up on a throne, and put on trial. A deacon was appointed to answer for the deceased pope, who was found guilty of perjury and illegally serving as bishop while already a bishop elsewhere. The punishment? They cut off the 3 fingers Formosus used for blessings, declared all his papal acts invalid, stripped his corpse naked, and threw him into the Tiber River. Talk about holding a grudge. Karma came quickly, though. Within months, Stephen was imprisoned and strangled. The Roman people had had enough of his macabre antics. Let's sail southwest from Italy to the Cape Verde archipelago off the coast of West Africa, where history took some fascinating turns. The pirate Republic of Santiago in the late 16th century, the island of Santiago in Cape Verde became an unofficial pirate haven. After being settled by the Portuguese in 1462, it became a crucial stopover point for ships traveling between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. What made it perfect for pirates? 3 things: fresh water, supplies, and it was far enough from European naval patrols to be relatively safe. Notorious pirates like Francis Drake and Charles Vane used Santiago as a base. The most incredible part: for several decades, the pirates essentially formed their own society here, creating what some historians call an early pirate republic, decades before the more famous ones in Nassau or Madagascar. The mystery of the disappeared population here's something wild. In the 1580s, the main settlement of Ribeira Grande now. Cidade Velha was a thriving port city with thousands of inhabitants. But when English navigator William Dampier visited in 1683, he described much of the island as eerily abandoned. What happened? A perfect storm of disasters: a devastating attack by Francis Drake in 1585, a yellow fever epidemic, drought, and famine. Records suggest the population collapsed by over 70% in just a few decades. When people returned, they mixed maritime traditions with African and Portuguese customs, creating the unique Cape Verdean culture we know today, born literally from the ashes of disaster. The secret Jewish enclave after the Spanish Inquisition in 1492, many Sephardic Jews fled to Portugal, only to face persecution there too. Some escaped to Cape Verde, where they could practice their faith in relative secrecy. Archaeological discoveries have revealed secret synagogues and Jewish ritual baths hidden within seemingly Christian homes. These crypto-Jews maintained their traditions in secret for generations, creating a fascinating cultural bubble in the middle of the Atlantic. Recent DNA studies of Cape Verdeans have confirmed this Jewish heritage, with genetic markers common among Sephardic Jewish populations appearing in the island's population, living proof of this hidden history. Now let's journey east to the Indian subcontinent, home to one of the world's oldest civilizations and some truly mind-boggling historical events. The diamond larger than your fist, the Kohinoor diamond, now part of the British Crown Jewels, has a history that reads like a thriller novel. Originally 793 carats uncut, that's the size of a tennis ball. It changed hands through murder, torture, betrayal, and war. Legend has it that whoever owns the Kohinoor rules the world, but will also suffer terrible misfortune. Its curse supposedly began when it was stolen from the eye of a Hindu deity statue. The diamond passed through the hands of Mughal emperors, Persian invaders, Afghan rulers, Sikh Maharajas, and finally to Queen Victoria after the British conquered Punjab. Each transfer was marked by violence. When it arrived in Britain, it was recut to 105.6 carats, losing over 40% of its size but gaining brilliance. India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran have all claimed ownership. Talk about a rock with baggage. The man WHO built 500 castles in the 1880s. A man named Mir Osman Ali Khan became the Nizam ruler of Hyderabad. He developed one very expensive hobby, building palaces. The Nizam constructed nearly 500 residences across his realm. The most famous, the Falaknuma Palace, had 220 rooms, including a dining hall with acoustics so perfect that you could hear a whisper from one end to the other. Here's the weird part, he barely used most of them. The Nizam lived simply despite being the richest man in the world at the time, with a fortune estimated at $230 billion in today's money. He slept on a simple mattress on the floor, wore the same fez cap for 35 years, and used a diamond paperweight worth millions to hold down papers on his desk. When he died in 1967, they discovered hundreds of unopened crates of jewels, gold coins stashed in the palace walls, and millions in a bank account he'd forgotten about. The stinky diplomatic incident. In 1838, the kingdom of Travancore in modern Kerala faced a serious diplomatic crisis over body odor. The British resident, a man named Colonel Fraser, was offended that during royal audiences, the Raja's attendants held their noses when near him. Fraser complained it was an insult to the British crown. The Raja's diplomatic response? He explained that, according to local custom, holding one's nose wasn't an insult, it was actually a mark of respect. By this clever reversal, the Raja avoided conflict while essentially telling Fraser he smelled terrible. The British government eventually recalled Fraser after discovering his offensive body odor was becoming a genuine impediment to colonial administration. Sometimes diplomacy fails because of the simplest human factors. For our final destination, we're heading to the narrow coastal nation of Chile, where nature and humans have created some truly bizarre historical moments. The earthquake that moved a country in 1960, the most powerful earthquake ever recorded, 9.5 on the Richter scale, hit Valdivia, Chile. The quake was so strong it created new lakes, moved mountains, and permanently altered Chile's geography. But here's the truly wild part. The earthquake actually shifted Chile's coastline. Some areas of land sank by 2 meters, while others rose by almost 6 meters. The city of Valdivia sank so much that streets became permanent canals. The resulting tsunami traveled across the entire Pacific Ocean, causing damage as far away as Japan, Hawaii, and the Philippines 15 hours after the initial quake. The waves in Japan were still over 10 feet high after traveling 17,000 kilometers. Scientists estimate the earthquake released energy equivalent to 20,000 atomic bombs like the one dropped on Hiroshima. Nature doesn't mess around in Chile. The president who committed suicide with a gift from Fidel Castro. In 1973, Chile's socialist president Salvador Allende found himself in a desperate situation as military forces led by General Augusto Pinochet surrounded the presidential palace during a coup d'etat. Rather than surrender, Allende chose to take his own life using an AK-47 rifle that was a personal gift from Fidel Castro. The rifle bore a plaque reading, "To my good friend Salvador, from Fidel, who attempts to give you something to defend yourself." Castro later said he never imagined his gift would be used this way. This tragic end marked the beginning of Pinochet's 17-year dictatorship and remains one of the most dramatic moments in Latin American political history. The War of the Pacific's absurd battles. The War of the Pacific 1879 to 1884 between Chile, Peru, and Bolivia had some truly bizarre moments. During the Battle of Arica, Chilean soldiers charged up a steep cliff under heavy fire while carrying scaling ladders. But the strangest incident happened when Chile captured Bolivia's entire navy, which consisted of exactly one ship with 2 cannons. Bolivia has been landlocked ever since, but remarkably still maintains a navy today. Its 5,000 sailors train on Lake Titicaca in the hopes that someday Bolivia will regain access to the sea. The Bolivian Navy's official motto remains, "The sea is ours by right. To recover it is our duty." That's 140 years of naval optimism without an ocean. And there you have it, folks, a whirlwind tour through some of history's strangest, wildest, and weirdest events from 4 fascinating corners of the world, from Italy's bucket wars and dancing plagues to Cape Verde's pirate hideouts, from India's cursed diamonds and palace-hoarding rulers to Chile's geography-altering earthquakes and navy without an ocean. History is so much stranger than anything we could make up. If you enjoyed these bizarre historical tales, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to catch our next adventure through the weirder side of history. Drop a comment below with which of these strange stories was your favorite, or let me know which countries you'd like us to explore next. Until next time, remember, the past may be a foreign country, but it's also the weirdest trip you've ever taken. Thanks for watching.